connect. And we're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to NJ Bass Academy. Monday Night Live. All right. 7:30 every Monday night. So it's good to have you aboard if you're here and you're watching. And I'd like to say hi and give a big shout out to my subscribers. I really appreciate you. Thank you very much for subscribing. So, what's new at NJ Bass Academy? Well, this Wednesday, I'll be doing another free lesson, and that will be on the 15 major keys. And most people get confused. They say, well, there's only 12 notes, so there's only 12 keys. Yes and no, and we'll get into that, and I'll give you a little preview of the lesson and at the end of the video, so hang in there. And let's go right to the news. Let's get right to it. Bob Dylan at 80. Bob Dylan, huh? Wow. I mean, how long has he been, how long has he been doing this? Geez. Longer than the Stones, and I'm not really sure. So, if anybody knows, leave it in the comments, or don't forget, we got a live chat, so you can always chime in and let me know what your thoughts are about this amazing, amazing songwriter and performer. So, here we are at Rolling Stone magazine, and it says, Bob Dylan at 80. We open our archives as a rock legend celebrates a major milestone. So let's click on this. Let's see. Is there anything there? There you go. And let's see. Is it going to load in? It's loading in. It's just taking a little bit of time because of the stream. And there you go. At 80. Rolling Stone opens its Dylan archives as the rock legend celebrates a major milestone. If Bob Dylan's gifts were confined merely to songwriting, he'd still be seen as one of the greatest artists of the 20th century. I agree. But he's also one of the greatest singers, recording artists, and live performers the world has ever seen. Over the past 60 years, he's gone from folk to rock to country to gospel to nearly everything else in between, but he's never lost his gift, and he's never stopped defying our expectations. He is just truly amazing. This magazine was partially named after one of his greatest songs, and we've traced his career in great detail from our earliest days. Dylan has granted us several in-depth historic interviews, and you can read all of them in this special 80th birthday tribute, as well as original album reviews, news articles, special essays, and much, much more, right here at Rolling Stone magazine. They've been covering Bob since the beginning. And if you go to Rolling Stone magazine, I'm scrolling here now, you'll see all of these 1971, 1972, part 1 and part 2. And it just goes on and on from the 70s. And here's a quote from Bob: "You can't be a slave to your emotions. If you're a slave to your emotions, you're dependent on your emotions, and you're only dealing with your conscious mind, not your subconscious mind." Okay, so here's some more pictures of Bob through the years 78, 84, 86, and you can read all of these if you go to Rolling Stone magazine. And here's some newer ones: 2001, 2006, and all kinds of photographs. 2013, the lost years. And it just goes on and on and on. They have an archive that's just unbelievable. Here's some photographs. I love this one right here in the middle. Let me make sure that you guys can see it. Yeah, I love that one where he's sitting on the bed with the guitar. It looks like just some motel room that he's just like camping out at and singing and playing. So, photographer Ted Russell captured candid images of the babyface singer in his Greenwich Village apartment. Oh, okay, so this was in his apartment in Greenwich Village back in the day, and you could check that out. And they have the best Dylan songs of the 21st century. In the years since 2000, Dylan has renewed his creative energy and produced a catalog of songs that stand alongside any past era of his career. Okay. The 80 greatest Dylan cover songs. Now, this is awesome because so many people have actually had songs that were written by Bob Dylan that were just absolutely incredible. Here's some: Jimi Hendrix, Joan Baez, The Byrds, Cher, Adele, and The Roots. Our list of 80 greatest covers of Bob Dylan songs. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to be checking this out. I haven't really checked this whole thing out. But if you're a Bob Dylan fan, or if you just appreciate what a great artist this guy is, you got to check out these things in Rolling Stone. Essays and tributes, and it just goes on and on. Dylan's Literary Genius by Mikhail Gilmore, the book, album reviews, on and on. All right, so that's awesome. Bob Dylan. All right, so I'm going to go back to screen one. Okay, so if you're a Bob Dylan fan, check out the Rolling Stone magazine. And I'm not an affiliate for Rolling Stone magazine. I don't have anything to do with them. I don't make any money from Rolling Stone magazine. I'm an old guy, so Rolling Stone magazine to me was and is the king of magazines for the industry. So I go there, and there's also another great one. It's called Relix, which features more of like the jam band scene, my buddies Fish, and all that whole kind of other genre, which I love so dearly. So I'll be bringing you some of that news. And let me see here. I just want to go and see if there's anyone in the chat here hanging out with me in the stream. And no, I don't see anybody. Yeah, and last week, as you know, there was no show. I didn't do a show last week. I was traveling on business for my other a YouTube channel which has to do with motorcycles. So I was down there getting some footage and some things. So, and yeah, stay tuned to Into the Mind of Music because I'll be going out and trying to get some film of the New Jersey shore scene and hopefully talk to some of the more higher profile musicians down the shore. And so it's going to be interesting now that things are opening up. I know a lot of my friends are playing, and the jam sessions are starting to come back. So so it's a beautiful thing. And stay tuned for all of that because there's some incredible musicians in this area: New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Philadelphia. This is there's just phenomenal musicians. So hang tight, and I'll try to give you and bring you as much value and footage as I can. And I'll try to talk to many bass players and or just all kinds of musicians. Okay, so what next? We did the news. I don't see anybody in the comments. So if you want to stick around a little bit, let me grab my bass here. That's why I don't like hoodies because with the hoodie, my strap always gets stuck. It's ridiculous. There we go. How does a professional put on his bass guitar? Very clumsy. All right. So, in my lesson, let me go back here a little bit. And I like to give my live people that tune in live if you're a bass player. And if you're watching this afterwards, leave a comment. It really helps. And anything you want me to cover or go over, I'll be happy to. I read everything. I try to get to everybody's comments. And if you want to know anything about bass, ask away. All right, so what my lesson covers is it covers all of the notes in the first 4 frets. And that's also the chromatic scale because it's every note. It's all 12 tones. And I'm just going to go over this quickly. And if, check out the lesson on Wednesday. It's going to go way more in depth. So when you go up the bass, it's very important to know all of the notes everywhere on your bass, specifically in this first 4 frets to start out. Okay, so I go up saying sharps and I come back saying flats. E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, and B. And then I come back, and because you're lowering the notes, you say flats. B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E flat, D, D flat, C, B flat, A flat, G flat, F, and E. Okay, so that's all of the notes in the first 4 frets. Now, then I move on to the 15 major scales, which also teaches you how many sharps and flats are in each key. And I go over each major scale in the first position. And I also go over the cycle of fourths. So, for anybody that's a quick study, the cycle of fourths are C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat. Now, G flat is the same as F sharp, B, E, A, D, and G. And then you're back to C. Okay, so that's a cycle of fourths. And there's different ways to play it. I played the open string. You could play the G here. But that's the cycle of fourths. And the reason why I like using the cycle of fourths for bass is it's just that more times than not, chords in jazz move in fourths. For instance, a 2-5-1 would just be in the key of C. It would be D, G, and C. And as you see, it just the fourths just lay straight across on the bass. Okay, so I don't want to get too far into that. I have the whole lesson there. And once you know all of your notes here, you should learn all of your major scales in this first position. So, without going out of this first position, which is a little tougher. So, C major, F major, because I'm going in fourths, B flat, E flat, I'm sorry. A flat, and so forth. And I go through all 15 of them. Now, there's 15 keys because there's 12, and the key of F sharp and G flat are the same, so that's 13. The key of B and C flat are the same, so that's 14. And the key of D flat and C sharp are the same, so that's 15 keys. Why they did that, I don't know. Maybe somebody else does know. If you do know, leave it in the comments. I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. And yeah, so that's it. Because every now and again you'll get a piece that might be written in C flat or C sharp or G flat or F sharp. And they do that so that they don't have to write all the different sharps for every note. If there's only a few notes that are natural in the whole piece, they'll pick the key that's closest. And sometimes that happens to be C flat, and when there's a natural note, they'll just put a natural sign. So I think it's more for writing charts and reading charts. If you say, well, how come I have to know the key of D flat? Well, you should know all of your keys, because if you get a piece that's written in D flat and you don't know how many flats, I think you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So, yeah, so learn all your 15 keys, all the sharps and flats, and all of the major scales that go along with it. Now, why do I say learn them in the first position? Because when you learn the major scale on any stringed instrument, you can come up with a pattern. That's the major scale pattern, one of them. And if you just move it up, that same pattern, it never changes. Right? So you could be here on E flat and play pattern, which is really good to learn in the beginning, which brings me to my Patreon page, which I after Memorial Day, like I said, head on over there about a week afterwards. I'm going to revamp that whole thing, but I give patterns for all of these scales, like the major scale and all of the modes and all of the different scales. And if you just take the patterns and move them around, they're all the same. But that doesn't really teach you the sharps and flats of all of the keys. And you're always using the same pattern. Where up here, you really have to know, okay, there's no sharps and flats in the key of C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And I don't want to go out of the first 4 frets, so I play C. Same thing with the key of D flat. Now I'm starting with my 4th finger here. Okay, so that's a 4th finger type major scale. Now that one happens to have no open strings, so I could play that anywhere. So now you have your major scale from your 4th finger. And it also helps with dexterity. Okay, when you're on F sharp, you have that pattern that I said, right? 2nd finger pattern. But now here you have to deal with the open strings. And you start from your 1st finger. So it's working all of these fingers. So it's a pretty in-depth lesson. I don't know how much I'm going to edit out, but check that out on Wednesday. Okay, so that's a little bit about the lesson. I'm going to go over here and just check the chat. And Mark Lee's, hey Mark, how you doing, bud? I don't know if you saw I did the thing on Bob Dylan, and let's see. I know I think I left it up just in case. Yeah, I did. Good. So if I go over here to screen 2, did you see this stuff, Mark? Some of these pictures are just, the pictures and everything are just incredible, I think. Dylan's apartment in the village and all of that. I don't know how long you've been tuned in, but 100 greatest Bob Dylan songs, and Rolling Stone just has a whole incredible spread over there. Oh, okay, yeah. So you missed the Dylan thing. All right. Well, oops, I messed up. My bad. Where am I? Okay, let's go over here. There you go. All right, so I don't know if you could see some of these pictures, but they're awesome. It has the 80 greatest Bob Dylan covers, Hendrix, Baez, and all of that. Pretty much a lot about Dylan, probably more than I do. And some of his new stuff, there's pictures in here. They have a whole archive of interviews from 2013, 2020, right? Articles all the way back to the 70s, and it's just crazy. I have to go back and read some of it myself, but yeah. So they're opening up their archive. So if there's anything that you want to learn about that, you learn about that. Okay. So basically, the lesson that's coming out on Wednesday focuses on all of the notes in the first four frets, all 15 keys, the cycle of fourths. I mean, there's just a bunch of things there. I might break it up into a couple lessons. We'll see. I'll see how that goes. And let me see, since I'm talking about Bob Dylan here, let me do it. I think, I'm going to try an easy Bob Dylan song here. Let me see what kind of a drum beat I have going here. That's a little cheesy, but I could go with that. Okay, I'm trying to find the speed here, but I think I could just tap it in. I guess I could live with that. All right. Let's see. Let's see if I got that. Didn't get the first chord. All right, so we'll punch that first chord in. Let's see if I got that. And I forget that I can't talk over it. Try it again. There you go. This sounds like a disco version of the song. Okay. 4 chords. A whole song, right? So the way I look at this, I look at it as G is the 1 chord, D is the 5 chord, A minor is the 2 chord, and C is the 4 chord. So whole thing is just the key of G. So now if I'm doing a bass line, I'm thinking about each chord, right? So if I take the bass out, thinking about G, D, and then the C. Each chord. Okay. But then if I'm taking a solo on this song, when it's my time to, when they give a bass player a solo, which is never on this kind of music unless you work with Kevin Hasselbrink, and then he'll make you solo on every song. I love him to death. Okay, so here we go. So now I'm just thinking that the key of G, because every song, every chord is just in the key of G. So now instead of thinking about playing over every chord, it frees me up. This is why you should know all your 15 keys. Any note in the key of G is going to work with this. And I'll play the G major scale. Okay, so that might not be the best choice, the G major scale, but every chord in the key of G, so. So it gives you a good basic to start with. Now this is a rock song, so I wouldn't really probably want to use a major scale. I'd probably want to use a better choice would be maybe the major pentatonic scale, right? So if I just play just G major pentatonic with a couple of little passing notes, I think that'll work much better with this. So let's hear how that sounds. Okay, yeah, so that sounds much better. Now that doesn't mean that you ignore the chords, okay? You want to play a combination of scales and arpeggios, otherwise you'll start sounding just very linear like that. Okay, so now if we throw in some arpeggios once in a while. Okay, and then things start sounding a little more interesting. And when you add chromatics and approach notes to that, then you have even more stuff to work with. See, I'm using that F sharp to the G. Whoops, I'm sorry. See, D sharp. Chromatic. Right? So you get the point. So then we mix it all up. Okay, so you get the idea. All right, so that's a little analysis of the Bob Dylan song there. So if you're getting some value out of this video, hit like and subscribe. I appreciate all my subscribers. And I'm going to just go over here again and check the chat. See who else is here. Yeah, Mark, you were playing in the Village, right? In the 60s back then. Wow. That's just crazy. Okay, so what did I want to do? Okay. So that's basically it. Okay, without getting too fancy, key of G. I like the sound. And you can use also you could use the pentatonics for each scale. G and A minor. Right? G, A minor, G, D, and C. So you could use all of those pentatonics. So let's just see how that sounds. So I'll do the pentatonic for each chord. And on and on and on and on. Okay, and on and on and on. Four chords, four great chords, great lyrics to that song. Of course, you know, Guns N' Roses did their version of Knockin' on Heaven's Door. So I hope I don't get a copyright strike on this. I just thought about that. Yeah. It's always something. It's hard to do a live music show when you don't know who is going to hit you with that. You can't play this video because I own that song. That's why I didn't play the melody to the song, but just mentioning it now, I'll probably will get a strike. So I'm gonna go over to the chat here and see how Mark's doing. Yeah, man. That must have been cool, bro, being there in the 60s in the village and everything. Did you ever get to see Hendrix? If you got to see Hendrix, say, "Oh, I saw Hendrix," and put that in the comments, live chat. Yeah, so if you got value out of this and you're a bass player, obviously I'm just improvising, coming up with different things, to give you guys to work on. Short story. Not playing. How's everything doing over there by you, Mark, with the pandemic? Is it over? If people he says he picked up a friend's axe and just wailed, and a fight started. Oh God, Hendrix, you talking about? Oh, that's crazy. Anyway. Yeah, so if anybody has my phone number and they want to call in, give a call in. And give a call into the show if you're watching. And if you would like to have the number to call in to the show, leave it in the comments if you're watching this after the fact. And I will try to get you that phone number so that you can call in. And you can ask me anything you want. I'm here for all the bass players and any other musician that wants to ask me questions. I'm here for y'all. That's what I do mostly every Monday night. So next Monday, I will not have a show either because it's Memorial Day weekend and I will be traveling for my motorcycle channel to get some footage. So the show will not be on next Monday, but following that, we'll get right back onto schedule. All right. So he says, we've been mostly open for 12 months. Oh, that's wonderful. That's cool. And yeah, and that was Hendrix that he was talking about. That's so cool. Got to stop smoking those cigarettes, man. They're killing me. That's my next vice to give up. My last one that I'm willing to give up anyway. Well, Mark, it was great to have you. Oh, cool. Mark's calling in. So let me see if I can. For some reason, I'm not getting them on my. I'm not getting them. Hello.
Hi there.
I am getting you through the headphones. Great. Awesome. Hello.
Hi there.
I am getting you through. It's great. Awesome. Oh, it's a big delay. Big, huge delay. I am getting you through. Great. Awesome. Oh, it's a big delay.
Big delay, yes.
Wow. I thought I had this straightened out, but I guess I don't.
Sounds like a three-way conversation.
Yeah, three-way conversation. It does. Let me hang on one second. This is actually really good that you called. Maybe I can get this straightened out once and for all, even though it's live. I don't care. Hang on one second, Mark. Maybe I can get this straightened out once and for all, even though it's live. I don't care. Hang on one second. Hang on one second. Do I still have you?
I'm still here.
There you go. Do I still have you?
I'm here. I'm still here.
That's crazy. It's such a delay. I wonder how I could stop that.
I'm here. I'm still here.
That's crazy.
Yeah, big delay.
Such a delay. I wonder how I can stop.
I'm here. I'm still here.
How about that? Oh, I can't hear anything. Oh well. I'm sorry, Mark. I guess I don't have this figured out after all. Oh well.
Oh
I'm
well.
sorry, Mark. I guess.
You get straightened out. I'll tell you about the Hendrix story.
No, go ahead. Why don't you just tell me about it because that was just okay. I'll just be quiet and you talk and it should be good. No, go ahead. Why don't you just tell me about it because that was just okay. I'll just be quiet and you talk. Oh, do you have your volume up over by you? You have to turn your sound completely off.
Okay.
Volume up over by you?
Let me try something here. How's this? Is this any better now?
That's perfect. Now everything's working great.
Okay. All right. Now, anyway, about the Hendrix story, it's kind of funny. A friend of mine was playing in a club in New York. I don't remember which one. It was around McDougal, that street. And Hendrix came in there with one girl on each arm. He had just gotten back from England. I think he had done his recording of his first album. He was flamboyant, let's say at least. And my friend had just gotten a brand new red Gibson SG. Is his new baby. Is like his new wife. And Hendrix thought and picked up and started playing on it. You know, Hendrix is not nice to guitars generally, and if it wasn't his, I don't think he really gave a damn. And he started wailing on it. And Mikey, who was a relatively little guy, he literally almost climbed up him and took the guitar away and started beating on him. So a few of us back there had to separate him. That's my Hendrix story. You eventually just walked out the door and call him, cursing and calling him names. You don't say, hey, I'm going to take your girlfriend and borrow her for a little while without asking. So that's the way Mikey looked at his guitar.
That is some story, man, and to witness it and to be there and witness that.
I actually got my hands on him to get separate them.
Oh, really? There you go. There you go. Now, was he a big star then, Mark? Was he?
No,
or was that before he went over to England and all that?
Well, it was right after he got back from England, I think.
Oh, okay.
His record wasn't released yet. I don't think it was released yet. My timeline is a little fuzzy. But I had seen him months before. He actually filled in for, remember the Peppermint Lounge, Joey D and the Starlighters, with Peppermint Twist? Well, he filled in as their guitar player for maybe it was a year before this, for about 2 months before he got sick of it and left. And it was kind of funny to see him playing that kind of music when you saw what he wound up playing. He was playing 1-4-5s and doo-wop stuff. It's just very, very strange.
Yes, and and the ironic part is it's such a small world that I worked with a guy named Benny Troy, and Benny Troy was the backup singer for Joey D and the Starlighters. And he told me that he actually sang when in the band when Jimi Hendrix was in the band. He said he wasn't in the band for a long time, but he said his name was something like Maurice something or something Maurice. I don't know. And I said this once, and Bill Trinsky came up with the name. But
well, New York was a small world back then. In order to you didn't have cell phones. If you want to get in touch with somebody, if you couldn't get them at home, or if they had an office or an agent's office, you had to walk around the streets of New York to try and find them. That was your networking.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Now it's like cell phones, texting, FaceTime. You could actually see the person. Now it's like Star Trek. Before it was like, yo, I wonder if Joe's down around the corner bar. Let's go see. He's not, he's not home. If you're not home, you have no phone back then, right?
And chances are that somebody you would bump into looking for Joe, they would tell you, oh, yeah, he went over here, or he's rehearsing with this group over at that studio, or, that rehearsal hall. It was a lot of miles you covered to find Joe.
Well, there was a lot of great things happening in the city at that time,
You get to meet a lot of people, a lot of crazy people, a lot of good people.
Yeah. I mean, my networking when I was going to school for music in the city was to go down to 48th Street and just hang out for an hour before I went home. Because you'd see all kinds of studio musicians and famous musicians, and they would go down there. I just rode down that street I don't know, maybe a month ago, and there's nothing there. 48th Street is it's not 48th Street anymore. There's just nothing there.
Well, I from what I see on TV, I look at traffic in New York City during the day or on the weekends when I'm watching a live show out of New York, and they take a pan of the streets. I can't believe it's that empty. That's the way it's about as much traffic during the day that there used to be at 3 o'clock in the morning in the city.
Yeah.
The city always had traffic, but usually almost nothing between 2 and 4 or 5 in the morning. And that's what it looked like all day, the last year. So even less sometimes. I remember seeing like 9 o'clock in the morning a news show, and they're panning, up Seventh Avenue, and maybe you see one or two cars. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was very very crazy because well, the concentration of people around here, it's
Yeah,
everything is so
yeah,
heavily concentrated. I mean, everybody walking shoulder to shoulder. So
yeah.
when they shut down the city, it's like, wow, are you kidding me? And
Yeah.
then and then they had all that trouble with people busting stuff up and protesting and all. What a mess this year has been, huh?
That was real smart. Let them ride, blow off steam.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Things aren't
yeah,
bad enough, so let's like loot and like bust
yeah.
store windows and stuff. Like, what a bunch of jabronis to.
But back in the day, hanging out in the village, it was, or during the day when I was doing some studio work along 48th Street up to Columbia Circle, because that's where a lot of the record companies and some of the studios were.
Yeah.
Mostly on the mid Manhattan, the east side. You would go into coffee shops to find people, you know, because they had just finished or were about to go into a session,
Right.
and you're looking for work, and once in a while you got lucky and say, "Hey, I think we need a guitar player. Doing anything?"
Yeah, that was the
Yeah,
networking of the day back then.
so,
Um,
and
you know,
what you're showing people about how to improvise using the scales and even the forms. You move that form up and down the neck. That's how I learned, and it paid off pretty well. And you start getting into, well, suppose you start crossing some of those, mix those pentatonics with a major scale. That's how you develop your own style, your own ear, your own voice.
yeah, I try to tell people, the scales and arpeggios that's like your toolbox. That's it. What you do with them and what you build with it is up to you. I mean, every carpenter has a whatever nail gun and whatever they do, but not everybody can build the same house. So
Yeah, it's kind of funny down here. The musicians that I'm with now are not playing rock or jazz. As you know, I'm playing bluegrass now, and it's what they call old time, which is another hard to explain. Along Americana, and I do soloing, and people want to know, how do you do that? And some of the people I know are very smart. They have like doctorates in music and other degrees, and if they don't have doctorates in PhDs in music, they can analyze it, and but you ask them to do a solo, and they go, um, they don't have it. Mechanically and theoretically, they know what it is, but they can't do it. It just boggles my mind. And you take a lot of musicians who don't know what the hell they're doing, and they just have the ear to, you know, play what they hear inside their head. So I think a combination of both is the best.
yeah, well,
You know,
it comes down to your ear in the end anyway. I know people that they don't know that much about music theory, and they're wonderful players.
yeah,
Some guys
I'm
can
one of them.
can can just learn one or two scales and then go from there and figure it out. But other people, they need more information, and no matter how much information you have, it still isn't going to make you an improviser unless you just sit
Yeah,
there and take your lumps. That's what I
it's a
do.
matter of putting.
I take my lumps. I play stuff that I don't like, and I just say, well, I hope I don't play that again.
Well, it's
you
like
know?
I get stuck down here sometimes with friends of mine who want me to fill in for them or with them, and I don't particularly like the music, but I'm doing a friend a favor. I have no problem playing music, putting a solo if I have to, even though I don't really feel like doing the solo. Um, but but again, it's with me at this point. It's a hobby. I'm not doing it for a living, although I'm still getting paid. I found out a retired musician, you still play, you just don't get paid as much.
Yeah. Don't get paid as
But
much. Well, that must be close to nothing then, because because
Yeah,
they don't get paid much as it is. I don't think
so funny.
musician salaries have gone up since the 70s.
Well, yeah, they have in certain areas. Before I left New Jersey, we were getting paid pretty good.
Yeah.
But this past Saturday morning, they have farmers markets here, a lot of them, and it's not unusual for them to hire bands for the morning. This is like a 9:30 gig to like 11:30, 12 o'clock gig
Mm-hmm.
in the morning.
Yeah. Well, there you
And
go.
I'm playing with these people, and it's a lot of fun, and it's some original stuff which I love doing. And they want to do it, and I said, okay. And it's like, I just want to say, next time they ask me to do I'm not used to getting out of bed till 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and to do a
Oh,
gig
yeah.
like this, you got to be up at 7:30. I said, I don't want to do that anymore.
You got to get up early. My cat wakes me up at like 6:30, 6 o'clock every morning.
Yeah,
Wow.
but
Wow, for
my cat
food.
wakes us up too. But yeah, I just pick him up and put him down on the ground, and go back to sleep.
Go back to sleep. Get out of here. Don't bother me. Yeah, there's some things like when I was doing the rockabilly band where we started doing
Yeah,
some of the wineries and
yeah,
that
that's
kind
fun
of
stuff.
stuff. There's a lot of different things now that are having entertainment, like you said, like the farmers market. I know
Yeah.
Patty Antal and her uh, guitar player
I
Tom
do.
Babuzelman. They do a lot of those things. A lot of those
Well, what I'm
farmer
doing down
markets.
here is almost all acoustic. So I haven't picked up. I haven't had to lug an amplifier since I moved since 7 years now.
Oh, so you're
Although I do have a pig nose amplifier though. It works on batteries, and it's only for like larger sessions. And I'm the only guitar.
so
For the
that's
70s.
real acoustic. That's like no amplifiers or nothing, huh?
Yep, most of the time,
Wow.
and it's a lot harder too. You got to be clean. It don't work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know most guys. They bring a small PA and they
Yeah.
even though they have acoustic instruments they plug in, but
Well, yeah,
that's
when you have the venue that you need a PA, you go through the PA, but it's still a dry guitar. It's just amplifying the dry guitar. There's no effects at all. Sustain is what you make, not your pedal. In fact, no, they don't know what pedals are.
yeah. You can't hide behind anything when you're doing it that
Yeah,
way.
no effects, which makes me happy.
I know. 2000. I think it was 2019, right before the pandemic. I did some busking on the Asbury Park Boardwalk, and
Yeah.
I took my just brought my acoustic bass guitar and tried to just play that, and wow, that was something, because it's hard to hear not plugged in as it is because it's a bass, so it's not even as loud as a guitar.
No.
And so it was a super challenge to even get people to kind of hear me that were walking by. But I did get a couple of people gave me $1. I think I made $2.
Well, the
I was
bass,
there for a
the
couple of
bass is
hours and said, "All right, it's too hot on the boardwalk. I'm done."
almost everybody down here plays doghouse basses. Upright bass. A
Right.
couple of people play bass guitar, but they actually have a little bass amp to go with it. Nothing, just enough to cut through the fiddles and the banjos. But mostly
Yeah.
it's upright bass. And some of these guys are phenomenal. There's one guy I play with in a bluegrass session, and he does a slap bass like a crazy man.
Wow.
Yeah, and I would compare him with was it Brian Setzer's bass player?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Uh,
I don't know if he's technically that good, but he has the speed and he got the sound going. He'll be a great rockabilly bass player.
I'll tell you what. I tried that, because I do the rockabilly band,
Yeah.
and man, that stuff tore my fingers up, man. My
Yeah,
fingers were
and
like blisters, and then it was pretty much like, oh, geez, do I really want to do
He
this?
keeps it taped up.
This stuff is killing my right hand.
You got to build up the calluses for that puppy. And if you don't have the calluses, you tape up your fingers.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. And now they're thinking about playing again, and I'm like, oh no, now I have to start all over again with these wimpy little fingers that I have here now. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
build up to it again, you know.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I really like it, you know. But to take like an acoustic bass anywhere, like by the shore or anything like that, I'm afraid the humidity would just split it apart. Like,
Well, here's a tip for you. A friend of mine has an aluminum upright bass. The whole body is aluminum.
really?
I think the only wood is the neck and the fretboard.
Huh? That's something.
And if you find one, they're pretty cheap. They're old, from the 40s and 50s or whatever. I don't know why, but most of them are like really dented up like old cars.
Really? Wow, I never saw anything like that. Wow,
And, well, it's a different world down here musically.
yeah, that's crazy. Hey, I've been following this kid, Billy Strings.
Billy Strings, yeah.
You know him?
I've kind of met him, but
Oh,
don't
you
really
did?
never.
Yeah.
He's good.
Oh,
He plays anything with strings. I understand his violin, his fiddle isn't that great, but mandolin, guitar, he's got that down.
oh yeah, man. I go see him every time I've seen him at a festival or anything, man. He just plays. Wow, I can't believe how good he is for. Yeah, he's a young guy. He's a young guy, but yeah, he really impressed me. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to see him somewhere.
Good.
I don't know. My daughter said, "You want to go see Billy Strings? I'll get tickets." I said, "Yeah, I'm going. I'm there." And I think it's the pony. I think it's just the Stone Pony down here in Asbury Park.
Possible.
Yeah, so it's good. It's good to hear that you're out and about playing. I still haven't. I mean, I did a couple of gigs with Kevin to fill in for Bill.
Yeah.
Like,
That's good.
yeah, like,
I know. I have other friends in New Jersey and New York, and you guys are still like half locked down. I'm going, why?
yeah.
It's time to revolt up there.
Yeah, it's really starting to open up again, and New Jersey and Hawaii are the only two states that have mandatory masks for indoors.
That's I mean, it's at a place now where it's kind of stupid because we have a lot of pubs and breweries around here that are pretty much open spaces. I mean, the door, they have like garage doors open, and you can go inside, and even though there's air conditioning and stuff, there's fans going. There's a lot of space. Nobody's on top of each other, but nobody's wearing a mask. I mean, some people walk in with a mask, and even if you go into a restaurant here, a normal restaurant type setting, you're supposed to walk in with a mask, sit down, take it off so you can eat.
Right.
And so why are you wearing the mask to walk in for the 30 seconds it takes you to walk in and walk out? What's the point of wearing a mask in and out? It makes no scientific sense at all.
Yeah, and I remember they had these places. They say you can't eat indoors. It has to be outdoors. So you go outdoors, and there's an enclosed tent. So you're indoors, outdoors, if that makes any sense. So that was there was so much crazy stuff. It just boggled my mind.
There are a couple of restaurants down here that had outside patios, and during the height of the pandemic, they closed them in. So now they have a new room.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They have an indoor outdoor place now.
No, it's indoor and half outdoor.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Follow the science.
So how's the weather by you? Good, nice.
It's warm. We're hitting 90s.
Oh.
Yesterday, today, tomorrow, and but the mornings are great. Evenings are, can be nice. Depends on, the wind and the weather. Evenings can cool off or not. Sometimes it gets hot, like 90 degrees at 3 or 4 o'clock, and by 7, 8 o'clock it gets up to 95. The sun's down. It's the temperature's climbing. But
Yeah.
I'd rather be warm than cold. Just not having to deal with snow has made me very happy.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, we got a couple of good ones last year, a couple of good snowstorms. I remember going out there like 2 and 3 times.
I like looking at the snow. I have a picture of my house in New Jersey, all covered in snow, and it's.
And
I
you'll
like to
keep
look at
that
them.
picture in your head and remember it while you're being nice and warm down
What's
there.
on my phone?
All right, my
Never,
buddy.
yeah, let me
Is
get going.
Yeah, hey, it
Yeah,
was great.
Let
I'm
me
glad you
get back to
called
work.
it. Uh,
Good talking to you, John.
yeah, man. And hang in there. Call in often, and um,
Yes.
and make some, leave some comments. But that's cool with the Bob Dylan thing. It's just,
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I used to see Bob Dylan around the village, and one little thing that I don't think many people talked about is we saw him in the club. One of the hangouts he used to hang out was the dugout. It was a little beer and burger joint right on, what was it, Bleecker Street? Yeah, I think it was Bleecker. And he'd be sitting in the corner over, towards the back, and he'd be writing all the time. I really believe he was stealing conversations and writing them down on napkins or whatever, so he could
Wow.
use them for lyrics later on. And if you look at Positively 4th Street, that's exactly what it sounds like. The lyrics are
Wow.
all stolen from hipsters.
See that? Now that's very interesting. That's
Yeah,
very
it's,
interesting. Sitting in the back and eavesdropping on some conversations to grab some
yeah,
stories.
just so they're sipping on the drink and writing down, constantly writing.
Yeah.
And hey,
Well,
he
he's,
was,
hey, has Bob Dylan been around? Bob Dylan's been around longer than the Stones, right?
oh yeah, Rolling Stones.
Yes.
They got their name from one of his songs.
Yeah. That's
The
why.
Rolling Stones.
That's why I said that. I'm thinking to myself, yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, well, Dylan's 80 years old, and he came on the scene when he was like 18, 19. But he'd been playing for a couple of years already, so you figure it out.
Wow.
But he's been playing a little
Unbelievable
bit.
that he lasted so long through all of those. I mean,
Yeah, and
many,
yeah,
many, many, many cycles of drug like things and stuff,
yeah,
and
and
that went
yeah,
on.
every 10 years he comes back with you know, pops up again.
Yeah, they were saying in that article that his stuff, that some of his new stuff, he's written a bunch of stuff since 2000. So,
Yeah, I
um,
mean, they have stuff that they're still unearthing, like Woody Guthrie. A couple of years they came out with a bunch of his stuff that he never finished. That his son and his daughter finished, along with
oh,
some other help from other musicians.
mhm,
Crazy stuff.
yeah.
Get back to work.
Arlo or
Put you
Arlo Guthrie, or there was two of them, right? Two Guthries, right? Arlo and somebody else. What? No.
lost you.
Who was the one that did Alice's restaurant?
Oh, that was Arlo.
Right.
Arlo Guthrie.
Boy.
That was Arlo Guthrie, his son, Woody's son. Yeah, and Arlo has his. He tours with some of his family, maybe the whole family by now, and they're pretty talented family.
Oh
If
yeah.
you ever get a chance to see them around New York State, I think they still live up around there, upstate New York area. Go see them. They're fun and they're
Now,
good.
that Alice's restaurant song, I remember that made a big impact on me, and I had to
I
learn.
still,
I had to learn all of the lyrics from beginning to end.
I did too. I have
So,
20-minute song.
yeah, I mean, I
20
learned all of those. And when I think of it, the way it's talked and the way of the story, that could have been like the first kind of rap song. Or,
Well, it
or do
was
you
kind of
think
like
I'm
that.
way off base?
Well, not rap, but you know what was the first rap song that I could call? Was it Johnny's in the Basement by Dylan? Johnny's in the basement mixing up the medicine. I'm on the pavement. Think about the government. Look out, kid. No matter what you did.
Oh, okay.
That, and he did a video of that actually with Al Ginsberg holding the cards, the prompt cards.
I swear, Bob Dylan is like the Miles Davis of.
Yeah, I mean, he's
jazz,
been all over the place. And
wow.
always a little groundbreaking.
The first
and
rap
strange.
song I think I ever heard was "Rapture" by Blondie, where she had that thing in the middle.
But was that really rap? I don't know.
I don't know,
I
but
can't
that's the first thing that I always thought of was, oh, well, she did that, she did that little rap thing in the middle. But,
but
hey, who knows? I know very little about
there's
rap.
Nothing new.
I don't listen to rap
There's nothing
music.
new under the sun. It's all been done before.
Yeah, like like slap bass. I mean, everybody thinks, well, Larry Graham invented slap bass, or Louis Johnson, or
Go back to the 20s.
Who came first? I mean, what do you mean? It goes back to the hillbilly, right? Hillbilly slap. They used to have to pull those strings out so hard to be heard, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to the 1920s, they were doing that. And some of the jazz clubs back then.
Yeah, in some form, right? Well, Mark, it was great talking to you. I'm going to end this portion of Monday Night Live, and I'll talk to you probably in 2 weeks. Give a call in, and say hi again.
Down.
It's always a pleasure. And I'm gonna get down to visit you at some point too, if you don't mind me freeloading for a day or two.
Not at all. You all come back down.
All right, thank you, sir. All right.
Your room's waiting.
Thanks for calling in, Mark.
Stay well.
Peace. Okay, good. So I did get the phone working good. It's getting a little warm in the studio, as you guys could. I don't know if you could see this, but I have my 50th anniversary Fender bass shirt on that was given to me when I was teaching at Musicians Workshop by the owner. He said, "Wow, I got this shirt. I think you should have it." And I've had it ever since, and it was a long time ago. I don't remember when the 100th was, and I can't see it. So, all right. Well, once again, thank you all for hanging in there. If any bass players are watching this, I'm going to try to get that lesson out on Wednesday night. If you would like an in-depth feel for the 15 major scales and keys all in the first position, blah, 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 blah. Patreon, I have all scales and arpeggio patterns, which will certainly help you get going. For some people, that's all they need. So you can check that out. Like I said, it's going to be at least, if not more than, half price. So if you go there and you check it out, wait until I can get up there and change it. And, and sign up. I'd love to have you. You could, in the comments, leave anything that you'd like me possibly to cover. And we'll see y'all in 2 weeks. All right. Peace, love, music for all. All right, until next time, peace, love, music for all. See you on the next Monday Night Live in 2 weeks. Peace.